Welcome to the LumiCast, your premier gateway to the universe of limitless photo editing. Dive into the galaxy of Luminar software and the dynamic world of AI photo editing. Join us weekly for a burst of creativity and the drive to transform your photos with confidence and skill. Broadcasting directly from Clever Photographer headquarters, it's time to welcome your hosts, Jakub and Holly Linton.
Hello, everyone. We are back for another episode of LumiCast, the podcast where we talk about Luminar Neo, photography, and photo editing. I'm your co-host, Holly Linton from Tennessee, and next to me is Jakub Bors, founder of Clever Photographer. Hello, Jakub. How's it going today?
Hello, Holly. So happy to be here. Let's get on with it.
Good. Well, the topic today is pretty exciting. Jakub is thrilled because he gets to talk all about himself. Who doesn't like to do that? I thought it would be an interesting topic to learn more about Jakub Bors from Clever Photographer, because we've all been following him for so many years now, and maybe there's some stuff we've always been wondering about him. So I have a list of questions to ask. So let's get started. Brilliant. So Jakub, when did you first get started with photography? Tell us of your beginnings and how you learned photography.
Cool. Now, we talked about it with Holly earlier. I need to be careful here because we have a number of questions. And if I start to talk too long, we're going to be here all day. So this is one of those questions where I could go forever. But basically, my first connection or my first involvement with photography was with my father, similarly to Holly's story, I guess. I remember going on these Sunday trips to the mountains and the castles. And my dad would always have a camera, along his head on that kind of rope. So I remember that. I also remember how he developed photos in the bathroom. So, there would be a little sign on the door not to enter, and he would unscrew the bulb from the light because it has to be completely dark. And I remember my mom being really upset because the chemicals would destroy the bath, they would leave mud on it. So that wasn't really great. After that, I had a long break from creative process. I tried different things. I tried acting in a theater for a while, and then I did some sports and then hospitality and just kind of bounce around. And I also went abroad, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So things went a little bit quieter until I went on with my career, being really busy with hospitality, and I needed something to distract me from my work, which used to be just work, come home, sleep, work. And so first I started a little channel about food and cooking. So I thought I'm going to create like a Jamie Oliver style videos, but very quickly realized that actually creating videos and recording, especially if you never done it before, is super difficult. So I kind of left it, went from Scotland to Czech Republic for holidays and spoke with my dad. And my dad had this little Olympus digital camera. And I was asking if he still uses it. And he said, no, I haven't really used it for a while. If you want to borrow it, you can. So I took the camera and went out for a little walk and took a few pictures. And I thought, this is super fun. So I went back to Scotland and borrowed the camera from him. And I tried different things, and it wasn't working and it wasn't working. And eventually I found this guy, Serge Ramelli, which we're going to talk about later. And I found his channel and I started to follow what he was saying. And I was suddenly be able to capture really nice photos of landscape and different things. And honestly, already at that stage, I realized this is incredible. I absolutely love this. So I started to learn more and more. Eventually, I would pretty much go out shooting every single day of the week. I would finish work, rush out. If I was working at night, I would be photographing in the morning. And like this for several years. And honestly, when you work on something with that rhythm and that intensity, when you do it so often, eventually it turns into something. And that's what happened. I took few photos for the hotels I used to manage. Somebody saw them, another person saw them. Then I got contacted by, back then, PX500, which was a really famous platform for photography. They were looking for photographer for Scotland to photograph hotels. That turned into photographing for Trivago and TripAdvisor. And suddenly you are in that kind of world. But as I was doing it, I knew that the thing is, it was photography, but it was this kind of large scale of photography, like thousands of photos taken, processed. So I knew that that's not what I want to do, but this is how I basically started, which, I don't know, it's like 2012 maybe would be the year. And suddenly it was about 2018 or 2019 when I now was getting paid for photography with the real estate, but I knew that I want to do something else. So this was the beginning.
Okay, we'll get more into that. I think a great name for a book would be From Bathroom to Dark Room.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Hopefully you had more than one bathroom in your house, but that might be a little too personal. So let's get on to the next question. How did you end up concentrating on landscape photography? Did you do any other genres? You just mentioned you did some work as hotel photography, but what else have you tried?
No, that's a good point and a good question. And I think most photographers go through this process, and I did the same. You just try a little bit of everything, right? You try photographing people, and you try photographing macro and wildlife and nature. And as you're doing it, quite naturally, eventually you realize one of these things you're better than in the others, so that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, I took some picture of people, and then I also took some pictures of nature, but more like focusing on, almost like a macro and others. But when you compared it with my landscape work, that was not really compared. I think I don't like to use that word much, but I think I was quite naturally gifted for landscape photography, for the light, for the storytelling, for the atmosphere, for the overall feel of the scene. So very quickly I realized, that's what I want to do. I massively enjoy it. I don't think there is anything better in life than standing on a mountain when the sun is rising. You're there by yourself. It's just incredible. Or sun setting, depend. Like those are like the best moments in life. And when you can do that with your camera and then you can get paid by it, and it's just a combination of great things together.
Looks like you see a lot of great things as I look at all the different workshops that you embark upon. You're around a lot of beautiful scenery where you live.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I think for us travel, landscape photographers, cityscape photographers, eventually it stopped being so much about the gear and your knowledge on how to set up the camera, and it becomes more about access to these places. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to go and see lots of beautiful places.
All right. My third question, is there a particular photographer or photographers that you look up to or who have inspired you over the years?
Well, good question. At the beginning, I already mentioned Serge Ramelli. You guys may know him. It's a French photographer from Paris who now lives in States. And we had an episode recently about mentorship, and he definitely been there for me at different stages of my photography. So that was a really important person. But two important things. I loved his work. So at the beginning, definitely I was heavily influenced by his photography. I remember a stage where some people started to tell me that my photos looks too much like his. And it wasn't that I was trying to copy paste it. It's just, when you're so close to somebody, and I went with him on several workshops and met with him many times, you really start to be looking very similar. But that's the point when you start to look at others. And I am also a massive fan of Peter Lik, which is probably one of the best gallery selling photographers in the world. So he's incredible. I think his landscape and cityscape is just gorgeous. I love the saturation and drama in it. And there are books and books on why his art work. But I just think that he's really cleverly able to have lots of saturation, but still make the pictures look natural. And I think that is definitely something that could be a goal for many landscape photographers out there. And then from the business point, Scott Kelby, I always really liked him. I think I mentioned in past very strangely that I don't necessarily like his photos. And I didn't mean it in that way. I think his photos are great. It's just not my style. That's all. There's nothing wrong with his work. I think he's a tremendous photographer. And for me, inspirationally incredible businessman when it comes to photography. So, and then there is one more person who, when you have somebody who just appear at the right time in your life and then just disappear, and that's a guy called Moose Peterson. I don't know if you ever heard about
Moose.
him.
That's a cute name.
Moose. Yeah, he's brilliant. And he's also like this, it's just this massive man from America with big beard who photograph planes. So he would be hanging in one plane with his long camera, and there would be another plane behind him, and he would photograph that. But he also landscape, and he does landscape photography. And I met him in London, in Birmingham, on a photography show. And he just told me something, I can't remember the exact word, but he say, you should never give up. It's not over until you win. And he kind of walked away. And at that moment, I really needed it because I was just starting with the photography business and I wasn't sure if it's going to work out. And it worked out. So, he definitely is somebody I wanted to mention.
Great. I think you might be missing one person, though. I'm surprised that you didn't say Holly Linton. Just kidding. All right. On to the next question. How did the idea of Clever Photographer begin, and when did you start the company? You kind of mentioned it already, but Give us a little more detail about that. Yeah.
This could be also a book, and it would start one night in a Parisian café drinking champagne. I was sitting across Serge Ramelli, to tell you how influential he was over my life. So it was three of us. It was me, Serge, and it was a gentleman called George, I think. And George, in his life, managed to start up two companies. Each one of them he sold for over $90 million. So basically millionaire. And I remember Serge asking me why I haven't started the teaching yet and why I haven't started a business, and that I have lots I could share with people and show them and help them. And I had a lot of excuses about why I haven't started yet. And then George, having like second or third glass, turn around and say, it would be, I can't repeat the exact words, but it was quite straightforward on, enough of excuses, you need to start with it. And so the night finished, and it was like 3:00 in the morning in Paris. It was May, it was warm and beautiful. And I was walking towards my hotel alone. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to really do this. I'm going to start it. And when I arrived to the hotel, I opened my laptop, and I haven't slept that night at all. I just started to look for websites and names, and even initially I wanted to do just presets. So it was supposed to call preset something, and that wasn't really it. And then I was thinking smart photographer, but there was no, initially it could have been smart photographer, but there was no website. So I thought, what would be next way to say smart photographer? So end up clever. And funny enough, in 2019, there was a website, there was all the social media available for it. So I thought, you know what? It's going to be clever photographer. So May 2019, in the middle of the night in Paris is where this was born, and it's been going forever since.
Yes, and it's been going great. You have a lot of people who enjoy what you offer. That's for sure.
No, and I love my life, and I love what I'm doing. So that's great.
All right. The next question you kind of answered already, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So did you work as a photographer before starting Clever Photographer in another profession? So you said a little bit that you worked in the hospitality industry. Was that doing photography, or that was, walking people through the hotel or whatever the job's there? What did you do? You were on a cruise ship, I know.
Yes. Okay. So my family background is hospitality. We have pretty much done for several generations everything you can imagine in hospitality, from cooking, waiting, managing, owning restaurants, all of that. So when things got a little bit harder, when I was about 17 or 18, there was not really much space to do anything else rather than default to something I knew from my life, and that was hospitality. So I jumped on a plane, flew to Scotland, and just started to work in hospitality. And because I was born in that environment, and I am quite extrovert, we talk about it, I was super good at it without much effort. So very quickly, I became F&B director in Scotland. From there, I got offered to go and work on a cruise ship for Disney as guest services. I went there and very quickly became guest services manager. And then I was doing some other work for them and became, in the kind of management sphere. Then came back to Europe, and basically the last thing I was doing before I became photographer, before I dropped the job, I was managing 3 hotels in Scotland as a general manager. That was my last role. Yeah,
wow.
That was that. And as that, with 3 hotels as a general manager, you can imagine how much life I had alongside. None. So this is why the photography step in.
Yes. But having the background in hospitality is definitely a benefit to running your own company and giving great customer service.
Absolutely.
So that's good. Okay. My next question. I know you're originally from Czech Republic. How did you end up in Scotland and now in England?
So Scotland first then. As I said, little bit of difficult times in the family. I needed to go away. There was a request for internship in Scotland to go and basically be a waiter and alongside learn English for little money, but everything was paid, including the flight, accommodation, food. So I said, yeah, absolutely going to do that. And you also could do it even though you were not 18 yet. So that was kind of cool. So I registered. And again, because I was quite good in hospitality, I got accepted. So I went to Scotland for 3 months. I did the internship of 3 months. And already before I finished the 3 months, the place offered me to continue. So I went home very quickly, packed a few things and went back and lived in Scotland until I was about 21. This is when I went to the cruise ship. I also lived very briefly so the cruise ship was in Cape Canaveral, in States. Then I lived very briefly in Australia, then back to Czech Republic for a couple of months, and then back to Scotland because I knew it there. And from Scotland. Now I ended up in England. Why in England? Well, because in Scotland, until I was just photographing locally, it was fine. But eventually I started to do workshops and I needed to travel more and more. And where I live in Scotland, the nearest airport was 5.5 hours of driving, which means 11 hours of round trip. So it was pretty much impossible. The kind of thing called COVID came along. So I just knew that I cannot live so isolated. So I moved down to England. And this is where I am now for 5 or 6 years, I think. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Great. All right. Next question. What are you shooting with? And is this the brand you've always used? Tell me about all the different cameras you've had. So starting with the one that your dad gave you all the way up until now.
Now, this will be short and boring because I only had 3 cameras in my life. No, 4. It's a lie. 4. Okay, so the first one is Olympus E510. Mirrorless camera, very noisy, but it had all the kind of important functionalities, like it could do bracketing and it could do timer, self-timer. So I could do lots of techniques. It's just the result wasn't always great, It was a little bit soft and it had lots of, how do you call it? The purple and green edges, chromatic aberration, and some of the colors didn't look great. But honestly, for me, at the beginning, it was brilliant. And this is where when people ask me what camera they should buy when they're starting, it really coming from my experience and heart is just buy whatever you have money for and go out there and shoot, because that is much more important than the camera you're going to buy. So that was my first camera. And I had grown it in a way of it's just run out of the functionalities I needed. So I moved to Nikon D5600, which was cropped camera, but it was brilliant. You could kind of turn the display around, so that was great for interior design because you could really photograph it from different directions, and it was fast, and the quality of the images was really, really cool. So I was super happy with it. And eventually, I started to make really decent money with photography, and I went on a trip where one of my friends, Ness, actually one of my business partners, had the Sony, Sony A7R II, I think. And at that point, it was $2,500. And I thought, wow, that's a lot of money for camera. But he borrowed it to me for a day and I tried it. And, I don't know why, but I knew that I will never be able to go back to something else. Like sometimes the system, how it's controlled and how the pictures look and everything just works so well for you that you are like, yes, this is what I want. I guess maybe like with a car or tools or something, you like, it just works. So I bought quite early after the Sony A7R II, which was absolutely brilliant. And with my business ventures, I paid it off hundreds of times. So that was great. And eventually I upgraded to Sony A7R Mark IV just because the A7R II had some issues with the batteries and stuff like that. So I upgraded. And now I've been using this for years, I would say. But you know what? I haven't had a feeling yet I need anything better than that. Because there is a newer version of the camera. But yes, you get some functions, but nothing that make any difference for me creatively. So I'm perfectly happy.
Great. So would you say you'd likely stick with Sony at this point? You've tried 3 different brands now. So Sony, you think is...
Until I get in my hand a camera, which would be like a magic, No, I think I'm going to stick with Sony. I'm really happy with it. And financially, we both know it's really expensive and difficult to switch between brands, right? So
yes. Yeah. Okay. How did the opportunity of becoming a Luminar ambassador come about for you?
That is also an interesting story. I'm going to try to make it short, but I've been using Luminar pretty much since they started. Now, apparently there was a version called Neptune, Luminar Neptune, which I never used, never heard of, but I was told that it existed. And I used everything since, everything from Luminar 2016, 17, Luminar 3, 4, Luminar AI, now Luminar Neo. So I was using it for work, and I was already teaching photography, but I didn't have a YouTube channel or whatever. And I was doing overlays and all that. And at some point of doing the overlays, somebody was emailing me and saying, I just got this Luminar Neo, which just came out, and it has a layers, which I didn't know, but I don't know how to use the overlays in it. And for some reason, there are no videos on YouTube at all about how to use this program. So I went and did a little bit of digging. And basically what happened, if people remember the history, is they were doing the pre-sale for 8 or 9 months, selling it with the release in December, I think. And what happened in January, the war started in Ukraine. So they released the first version, I think somewhere in December. And I want to say, as usual, it wasn't really great because it wasn't ready. And normally they very quickly update it to what they needed. And that never really happened because the war started, so everything kind of shut it. So suddenly there was this software which wasn't really great. And lots of influencers and YouTubers, especially the bigger ones, didn't want to have anything to do with the program. They just didn't want to do any content on it because they didn't want to put their name in a jeopardy of, well, why are you recommending something that is not working? So now I was looking at this program there and I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to make this video about overlays, how to use it. So I made the overlay video, put it on my YouTube channel, which I haven't added video for like 3 years. And the next day there was 6,000 views and I sold several hundred of my overlays.
Wow.
So Jakub's business head switch on thinking, oh, there is maybe something. So I made another video. I can't remember what. Maybe how to use textures. And that also worked really well. So I always like to kind of put challenge in front of me when it comes to these things. So I told myself, okay, so I will make video a day, every single day, each day about different tool in Luminar Neo. So basically I will make videos which will help people to understand how all of these tools work. Because lots of people use Luminar across the years, but they all use just 2-3 tools. You know, they don't know how the other works. So I thought, okay, I'm going to help that. So I started to do these videos and I made first 5 and it was kind of popular, but it was okay. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a little bundle, not just overlays. I'm going to do power bundle and I'm going to release it and see. So I released this power bundle, which started to sell super well. And suddenly I got message from somebody not directly at Skylum, but somebody who is very close to the circle telling me that I can't do that. I cannot sell these things for this cheap. And, you know, if I'm even real and whatever. But I was continuing for posting these videos on YouTube and suddenly people started to talk about me, right? And people started to talk about this power bundle and it was just kind of growing. And coming back again to Serge Ramelli, speaking with him on the phone, I say, listen, I made this video and then this product and selling really well, what to do? And he said, well, if you want, I'm going to get you in touch with the CMO, the chief of the marketing. She can kind of maybe get you a code so you can get like a code, you know, to get some money from the sales or something. And that was Juliana back then. And I emailed her and he emailed her saying, can you get my friend Jakub set for this, you know, for this discount code and for this affiliate link? So I wasn't going there as a Jakub, as nobody who is selling this power bundle and underselling everyone. I was going there as a friend of somebody they really like. So I got this connection suddenly. And she said, yes, no problem. And while you edit, can you do this for us? And can you do that for us? And is there any chance we can have maybe some of the presets from the bundle on our marketplace? So I did that. And very quickly, within 3 or 4 months, it kind of bloomed. And 4 months later, I was with Vanelli on the show and I was on the phone with the CEO. And suddenly I had the invitation for the ambassadorships in my email. So yeah, this all happened within 8 months, you know. That's crazy.
It's a great success story and place at the right time. Everything happens for a reason. So that's exciting. And
be very stubborn. I think it was 36 videos in 36 days. They really did put me out there, you know, especially in a time when there was nothing. So people watched it. They loved it.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Next question. Okay. You obviously love Luminar. How do you compare Neo to Photoshop and Lightroom? Because I know you use all of them. What's your workflow with all the different software you have available? And what do you like the best?
Cool. I look all of them and I use all of them and more. That's the truth, really. Now, what I really, really like about Luminar Neo, and this is genuine answer, I think it's the best application and software out there for people who are starting with photo editing. I think Lightroom Classic, Photoshop, and lots of applications out there are just way too complicated and they put people off editing. This is why you have photographers who never edit their photos. It's not because they don't want to, it's just they don't know how. They don't understand how to do it. And it's because of these really complex and complicated applications. So Luminar just really made it so much easier. So I love it for that reason. I've seen so many successful stories where you can see that people just fell in love with editing because of this application. So I love it for that. But for me, there are photographers who look at the image and they have their software and they basically start from the software. They think, okay, what can I do with my software to come up with certain look? For me, it's completely the other way around. I have a creative vision over the image. So looking at the image, I like it. I like the light. And I have a vision in my head somehow, what exactly I want to do with it. And then I go and use everything I have available to achieve it. So sometimes I use just Lightroom, or sometimes I use just Luminar. And sometimes I use all of that and more. Sometimes I use like a Topaz Super Sharp and Topaz Denoise and plug-in for maybe adding this and adding that. Because for me, as we talk about it, it's more about the creative part and about what I want the picture to look like, rather than being constrained by what the software can do. So this is why I like to put them together. So I'm not very loyal to one brand, but if I would have to pick up Luminar for one, it would be definitely the fact that it's super natural to use it.
Okay. Yeah, if you have all the smarts to use all these different softwares. Some people aren't as brilliant at using them. All right. We are going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Oh.
Ever stood in front of a perfect landscape and suddenly forgotten your settings? The light is changing, the sky is exploding, and you're guessing. The Landscape Camera Settings Toolkit fixes that. Inside, you get a 40-situation landscape camera settings guide and a WhatsApp camera settings assistant that tells you exactly what to dial in seconds. Long exposures, golden hour, fog, waterfalls, mountains. No theory overload, just real settings for real scenes. Works with any camera, instant access, lifetime use. Stop guessing, start shooting. Get the Landscape Camera Settings Toolkit today at cleverphotographer.com.
And we're back, diving into the life of Jakub Bors. Don't worry, the next set of questions isn't too difficult. What's your favorite bundle that you've created or favorite product?
Oh, it absolutely has to be the Power Bundle, Luminar Neo. That is by far the biggest bestseller Clever Photographer ever had. It's still selling. I'm amazed after these years we still sell. Obviously not as much as 4 years ago, but still a lot. So I love it. And I also think, honestly, it's a great added value. Like if you just bought the software and you get this thing for $39, like you will have enough for months to do, you don't need to go and buy your skies and buy your overlays. Like this is a great starter. So the Power Bundle is great. I have a very soft spot towards it. But from the recent products, I'm really proud of my photo restoration masterclass. I think that's a good one. I think that this specific activity to do to restore the photos is super creative. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it also makes us to work with the physical things again. You need to actually go and find your photos. You need to scan them. And I think that's great because sometimes we just go too much into the digital. So I think this is great. I'm in love with the photo restoration. And big accomplishment is definitely the London virtual workshop, which honestly, people who's done it so far, they absolutely love it. They asking for next location already. And I really think that is a great product as well.
Great. Okay. I know that you have both a Mac and a PC. Which do you like better and why?
Okay. Well, I started on Windows. I pretty much work with Windows, I would say my first 10, 15 years of life. So it was always Windows. Obviously, quite a lot because Mac was always really expensive, to purchase and kind of fancy. But eventually I got to the point where I was even told and suggested by people from like a print shops and photographers that the Mac have a better colors, and it works better with Lightroom and it works better with Photoshop. So eventually I bit the bullet, and I have to say now using Mac fully for last probably 6 or 7 years, I wouldn't go back. Now when I go back to Windows, I feel like everything is falling off under me. It's a little bit like with Android, I used to be Samsung guy. I had like several generation of Samsung phones, and now I have our iPhone, and sometimes I have to like borrow Android or Samsung from somebody, and things just don't work, It's like, and same with the computer. Like I try to move an icon and it disappears, and in Luminar you kind of move pictures somewhere and suddenly you see them on the background of your computer. It just seems very strange with me. And I have to say, nothing against Windows users. I used to use it for a lot, but when you look at the ratio of requests of when things not go right for Luminar, it's massively overwhelmed by Windows users. Of course, Luminar still has flaws which don't work on Mac as well. But if you have an issue which is like a drastic issue, it is most likely from Windows users. So that cannot be just luck.
But that's good. You have the knowledge of PC to include in your keyboard shortcuts.
Absolutely.
And if people have questions using your software on a PC, you're probably more likely able to answer them, right?
Good.
Okay. What are some of your favorite activities outside of photography?
Well, people know about my love for football. So I play football. I actually have my own charity football team. And I also support Arsenal here in UK. So for people, if they want to know. But they may don't know that I love cooking. So there's nothing like Sunday, close myself in the kitchen and cook for 5-6 hours. I am quite happy to create like a 3-course menu and invite people over, or do the opposite, like create 10, 12 different little finger foods and have a little like a dinner party at home. I love cooking. I really, really like it. I prefer when it takes a little bit of time. You can't do it all the time, but when you have like a nice weekend, I really enjoy that. So cooking is another one. And then cinematography in general. I am fascinated by making movies and cinematographers and what's happening behind the scene. I never really got heavily involved with it, but I have a lot of friends who are everything from your producers, directors, cameramen, screenwriters, composers, and I find it fascinating.
Do you take pictures of your food when you're making food?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's a fun as well.
Speaking of food, I have a question that if people have listened to these podcasts for a while, they'll understand. Do you like hot cocoa?
Of course. I absolutely love hot cocoa. And I feel like I talk about it every time we do what to photograph this season.
All right. Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have a cat. His name is Rufus. He's a ginger, just a random farm cat. And it's a very interesting story because I bought him. I got him for a bag of croquettes in Czech Republic. And I left him there with my parents for a little bit when I went away. Now, this is kind of in between things. So he's now 13 years old. So 13 years ago, I bought him. I lived with them a little bit there. And I went to Scotland and I left him there. And my mom called that, he's really not happy there and he looks like depressed. So I went back to Czech Republic. I pick up Rufus and we make our way in a car all the way to Scotland, part of Scotland. He lived with me there for 7 years, I think. And now he's living happily with me here down in England, enjoying his retirement in a beautiful house and chilling by the window and in front of the fireplace. And he's just very happy cat.
Excellent. Okay. You have something called Clever Photographer Academy that maybe some of your listeners are not aware of. Can you just quickly say what that is?
A quick thing, it's a membership, which ultimately gives you two things. It gives you a monthly bundle or pack of digital assets, always themed to certain topics. So, for example, Christmas photography, haunted photography, portrait photography. And then it also comes with kind of coaching, but it's a feedback and conversation about photography. Now, the part of the coaching, early information, we are actually revamping it with hopefully big announcement in March, which I think should be really exciting for everyone. So, while it's perfectly fine to mention it now, keep an eye on this because when it's going to come out, I think it's going to be something that people will enjoy a lot.
Okay, great. What's your favorite place in the UK to shoot?
Oh, Scotland, definitely. Without a doubt, yeah. I think it's absolutely stunning, especially Scottish Highlands. They are breathtaking. Now, of course, depends what kind of photographer you are, but for landscape photographer, there is no better place, I think.
How long does it take for you to get from where you are to Scotland?
Now, 7 hours.
7 hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you drive, I would fly. I would fly to Edinburgh or Glasgow and just rent a car.
What's your favorite place to shoot, given all of your travels, all of the places you've been?
I saw this question earlier, and it's tricky to choose, It's like your favorite child. But I have to say, as an experience, because probably the most recent months come up to your mind, photographing the white horses on the beach in south of France has been something that really, really touched me in the heart. That sounds very melodramatic, but honestly, you finish that, you have these horses kind of hanging around you in the seawater. They are running towards you and they are super gentle and nice. And you're taking these photos. I talk a lot, but I haven't talked for several hours after that photo shoot. It was incredible. And if anybody has the opportunity and chance, come with us there because honestly, it's an experience of a lifetime.
And you still have 2 spots left in that workshop?
We have 2 spots left. Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list. Okay. 2 questions left. Do you take any time off from creating? And when you do, are you actually able to stop creating stuff?
The only way I can stop create is to go to Disneyland. That works for me because there is enough creativity around. No, I am absolutely able to stop it. That's no problem at all. But when I do that, then I have to stop everything. So I have to stop answering emails, checking my messages, looking at the business, looking at Facebook business, all of that. So I often go to Greece in September, and I go there, and this is what I do. I shut everything for a week or two. And after the 2 weeks, you're obviously curious about how things are doing. And you do just one thing and a second thing, and then it just restart again on its own. So I'm totally able to do it, but I cannot just switch a little bit of it. I have to then switch everything. So when I do it every year when I go to Greece and around Christmas. Yeah, I always like to take some time off. So yeah, I'm able to do it. Just I am quite comfortable and happy in my creative stage. So I don't really find a reason why to.
Right. Okay. And last question. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience that we don't know about you? Woo!
Follow your dream. It's never too late. It's never too late. I mean, look at us. I think I mentioned quite cool few things throughout the interview, you would say, or the questions. Things just happen when you're really following your dream. And as I say, I am very persistent when it comes to something I like. So example was this start of the photography. I went to photograph every day. And then when it comes to Ambassador for Skylum, I've posted video every day. And it's just, I really think that when you really dedicate yourself to something, good things happen to you. So yeah, I recommend everyone to do the same.
I agree. Well, I think I speak on behalf of many or everyone in the Luminar community that we love Clever Photographer, especially your customer care. We'll give Pauline a shout out in this one because she's probably the brains behind the operation. And all of your bundles and master classes are just so wonderful. I even had a friend text me yesterday saying she was starting your restoration class and how talented you are. So we all appreciate having your resources and you educating us in the community. So thank you on behalf of everybody.
Well, thank you very much. This was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for the questions, Holly.
Yep. It's been great getting to learn a little bit more about you. So that's a wrap for today, everyone. We'll see you all next Friday. Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Now, there's only 3 things left to do. Subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Visit our website at cleverphotographer.com/LumiCast to see what we have in store next. And stay creative and keep editing your photos no matter what anyone says.